The finale of All the Truth in My Lies becomes a story about finally telling the truth. After years of hidden feelings, betrayals, misunderstandings, and friendships complicated by romance, the characters are forced to stop pretending that everything is fine. And while the ending gives Marin and Coco the happy ending they have been moving toward, it also makes it clear that some wounds and some feelings never completely disappear. The central resolution of the finale is the relationship between Coco and Marin. For most of the story, the two have been trapped in an emotional contradiction. They're close and consider each other family, but neither is willing to acknowledge that their feelings developed into something romantic. Their relationships with other people only make the situation more complicated. Marin has been involved with Aroa while secretly having feelings for Coco, while Coco considered pursuing Gus because she wants to escape what she feels for Marin. But the finale finally forces both of them to be honest. Coco admits that there is nothing romantic between her and Gus. She almost kissed him but realizes she was acting impulsively because she wanted to feel something for someone else. Marin, meanwhile, explains that there is nothing between him and Aroa. Aroa kissed him but he rejected her because his feelings are actually directed toward Coco. Eventually, they say what they have been avoiding. They're in love with each other. Their emotional confession leads to them becoming intimate, finally crossing the line that they spent so long refusing to acknowledge. For a moment, it looks as though the story reached its happy ending, but the real obstacle isn't their feelings, it's everything they haven't dealt with yet. Aroa refuses to let Coco and Marin simply walk into a happy relationship without confronting the past. During the confrontation, she reveals that Marin was planning to ask Coco to leave the apartment because his sister Gemma was supposed to move into her room. She also exposes the things Marin said about Coco behind her back. Marin complained about Coco constantly complaining and criticized the way she pursued Gus. This is important because the finale doesn't portray Marin as a perfect romantic hero. He had feelings for Coco, but he also behaved badly. His love for her doesn't erase the things he said or the mistakes he made. Aroa is also forced to admit her own hypocrisy. She reveals that she slept with Gus while she was still involved with someone else. In other words, everyone in this group has been lying, hiding things, or making selfish decisions. That's why the title becomes appropriate. The characters spend the entire story surrounded by truths that they don't want to confront. One of the biggest questions after their confession is why Marin suddenly pulls away. The answer is that Marin is terrified. He recognizes that his feelings for Coco are real, but he doesn't know how to handle them. He explains that his dysfunctional family never gave him a healthy example of love or relationships. He doesn't know what a stable relationship is supposed to look like because he never learned one. So instead of embracing what he wants, he retreats. Coco waits, she contacts him, she asks him directly whether he even wants to see her, but Marin keeps delaying. Eventually, Coco realizes that she can't spend her life waiting for someone else to decide whether he wants her. She leaves the apartment so Gemma can have her room and writes Marin a note thanking him for being her home. Her message is meaningful because it establishes an important distinction. Marin has been her home, but she can't allow him to become the person who prevents her from moving forward. Blanca's story takes a different direction. After everything that happened with Gus and the wedding, she decides that she needs distance. She blocks Gus and begins rebuilding her life. She also leaves her home and moves in with her mother, wanting a fresh start. But the finale doesn't pretend that blocking someone automatically erases your feelings. Blanca openly admits that she still loves Gus. She's simply choosing not to allow those feelings to control her anymore. Her decision mirrors Coco's situation with Marin. Both women realize that loving someone isn't enough if the relationship is causing them to remain stuck. One of the most important details in the finale comes at the auction. Marin arrives while Coco is presenting her sculpture Hearth. The artwork represents the idea of home. Coco explains that a hearth can represent a real place, but it can also represent something or someone that makes you feel at home. Marin understands the deeper meaning. He asks whether the concept of home can be mutable and whether the sculpture could represent a person. He's really asking whether he can still be Coco's home. But Coco changed. She doesn't want to return to exactly what they had before. This is why she tells him she doesn't want to be called Coco anymore. Coco was the version of herself who was simply his roommate. She wants to be called by her real name, Maria. It's a small moment, but it represents her growth. She's telling Marin that if they're going to be together, he has to know and love the complete person, not simply the familiar version of her that existed beside him for years. Marin's speech at the auction is the emotional climax of the finale. He admits that he was a coward. He loved Coco from the beginning, but he didn't understand what those feelings meant. Then once he understood them, he became afraid. He needed time to process everything. Then he needed more time to accept it. Eventually, he became afraid that they waited too long and that there was no way to go back. But Marin finally realizes that his constant hesitation accomplished nothing, except making both of them miserable. So he tells Coco what he actually wants. He wants to spend the rest of his life with her. This is the truth he should have told her months earlier, and Coco finally gives him another chance. When he asks to kiss her, she tells him to call her Maria. He struggles with the name because he spent so many years calling her Coco. She tells him he'll get used to it. Then she tells him to kiss her. Maria and Marin eventually get married in a simple, casual ceremony and have 2 children together. This confirms that Marin's declaration at the auction was genuine. He wasn't simply trying to win Maria back in the moment. He really did want to build a life with her. The fact that they marry casually also fits the story's overall rejection of appearances. Their relationship doesn't need an extravagant wedding or a perfect image. What matters is that they finally chose each other honestly. Aroa doesn't disappear from their lives. The epilogue reveals that she eventually becomes an award-winning actress. Maria and Marin watch her acceptance on TV. Their reaction is important because it shows that the anger surrounding Aroa eventually faded. The final storyline involving Blanca and Gus is ambiguous. Gus eventually appears again when the group is together. He explains that he's going to read poetry at a local women's association where Blanca is now volunteering as a lawyer. He tells the group that if they're still there afterward, he could join them for a beer, and everyone agrees. But before Gus walks away, Blanca calls out to him and tells him she has his duck. Gus smiles, and Maria immediately realizes Blanca is still in love with him. The scene suggests that there may still be something between them, but unlike earlier in the story, they don't have to immediately define it. They can take things slowly. The characters spend the story believing that keeping secrets would protect their relationships. Instead, the secrets created confusion and resentment. The finale finally breaks that cycle. And that's why Maria's sculpture is such a fitting final symbol. Home isn't necessarily the place you started. Sometimes it's the person you finally choose after you've learned who you are.